Okay. I didn't go to the water. Instead, I have come to this place called, it's an apple orchard. Do you see that sign there that says, please do not climb on Brewster? Brewster is this here bronzed statue of a horse with a little girl. I guess I could see kids wanting to climb on that. Yeah, I could see that. Well, they're asking us not to. Do you know, I have lived here for many, many, many years. Just put it that way. I would say all my life, but it's not. I mean, I've been in other places, but I have never come to the apple orchard. Always pass it, but I've never actually come to walk through it. Now, I don't understand why I haven't. It's absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful, but yeah. So let's Anyway, I want to pick up where I left off on the last conversation or discussion or video I was making concerning Jews, genealogy, Israel, and all of this that is now um, very, very much a hot topic right now. People are looking at prophecies, and when things start to happen like this, you see people who haven't mentioned God's name in years. Remember when COVID happened, suddenly people were posting all kind of, I believe in Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is my savior. I just want to make that known right now. People are doing that right now, and it's funny. But I guess if you know, then yes, hold on to him. Even if you're backslidden, come back. He's married to the backslider. And if it takes things like this to get your attention, so be it. So be it. um, but what I was saying, and I had re-recorded it. Now, I mean, I had recorded it, but now I'm going to re-record because my phone had literally no memory left. That's how much junk I had in my phone. For like 3 years, I've had this phone, and I had to delete stuff that I just don't need anymore. So I did that. I deleted thousands of um, things stored in my memory that I just don't need, so that I could have some room. Because what was happening when I was trying to do the videos, I was trying to record. What was happening was it kept stopping. I was like, what is going on? So that's what it was. But what I last said in the last video, I was saying what I was getting to are the attitudes of people towards Israel right now and towards Jews right now. So for people to say, they don't believe this is biblical Israel, they don't believe these are biblical Jews, and again, that could just vary from person to person. That but as far as the land in itself, and as far as God's covenant, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. But also pay attention to the attitude towards Israel, how it's getting more hostile. And I'm talking about everybody against them. That's very biblical. That is prophecy. Because the Bible prophesies in Revelation, the prophecy is that the nations will gather around Israel to annihilate Israel. And that is when Yeshua, the one that they rejected, the one that they pierced, he's going to show up for them, right? And what I was saying was that one example, I got a call or a text message from a loved one who was like, look at these Israelis, look how evil these people are. And was just sending some information on the war that's going on. And this is a person who is not, they don't understand spiritual concepts as how we are to understand them as believers, because we have the Holy Spirit to give us revelation, to guide us in the scriptures, and so that we get a grasp and a firm understanding. And even some of us don't. Like, some of us are also against Israel, which, that's another story. I don't really think that makes much, well, I guess we can dive into that a little bit. I said a few, we mentioned it on the last video on some of the things that Christians will say. Replacement theory, that's what it's called, where you believe that we have replaced Israel. But I don't believe that that's biblical, and I'll kind of explain my stand on that. I think I've explained it in the last video, I think, but we can talk about it a little bit more. But anyway, so this loved one is just has that same attitude as the rest of the world. And I'm just looking at it like, look how this growing hostility towards this place, towards these people and towards this land. And he was saying, they think they run the world. Like, whoa, come on. We know where that kind of thinking, where that comes, where we've seen that kind of thinking before. And I think this is why Jews get so, they get very tense, and they do get, I don't know if maybe it's scared is the word to use or not, but I would say they're very cautious when they begin to see attitudes like that. When they begin to see people blaming them for everything, when they begin to see people kind of looking to them as the new sense in the world. You understand? So that becomes a point of fear for them because of the past, what has happened, like what happened in Nazi Germany, and obviously we're talking about European Jews, and which that brings me to, we're going to get into the genealogy again, but I did just want to say that the attitudes towards Jews is very prophetic. So all I could answer him, because like I said, he doesn't understand. Even though he's seen my prophecies, he's seen things unfold. Still, there's still that blind spot there, right? Because it doesn't even matter. Like, that's why I can say I understand how things will happen in Revelation. I understand how people will be deceived, because if you're blind, you're blind. If you're blind, you're blind. It is the Spirit of God that has to remove blinds, that has to remove scales. So, and that's why we pray for people we love, that will happen. But all I could say in response was, it's more to it than what meets the eye. That's all I could say. So, yes. So that was where I left off at, was just that there is so much hostility growing towards Israel. That's prophetic. Um, so what else? Yeah, so as far as genealogy is concerned, like I said in my last video, do I believe every single person that says they are a Jew is a seed of Abraham Jew? No. Why do I not believe that? There's one simple word. One simple word. It's called Semitic. Semitic. That's it. One simple word. And you can look into that word and know the origins of being a Semite and all of that. Okay. And I'll leave that there. And I don't know, did I mention on my last video, I am in the haplogroup of E1B1B. So supposedly that haplogroup belongs in like the Hebrew, I guess, bloodline. But also supposedly pretty much everyone comes from that kind of the Eber. And that's something I need to look more into as well, but it means Hebrew. But whatever the case may be, I've always been drawn to Hebrew even as just a little girl, a very young girl. I was always drawn to Hebrew, and I began studying Hebrew around age, I would say maybe I was 12 years old. A lot happened in my 12 year. A lot happened in my 12 year, and I think that's when I began studying Hebrew, was around that age. And then as I got a little older, I went into the synagogues, not for uh, service or anything like that, not to sit under rabbis or anything like that, but to study Hebrew. That was offered, to anybody in the community. And so I I signed up for those classes, and it was fun. I loved the rabbi. He was really sweet. He walked me around the temple. Not a temple. It's a synagogue. Different than a temple. But he did. He walked me around the synagogue, and he was just talking to me, and I loved him. He was really sweet. And I remember looking at the on the floorboard there, all of the patriarchs and matriarchs, the names were engraved in the floorboard. So you saw Jacob, you saw Moses, you saw Abraham, of course, you saw Leah, Rachel, you saw, who else do I remember seeing? It was all the matriarchs and patriarchs of the Torah. It was so beautiful. I loved it. and and they knew that I was a Christian, but they were kind to me. Not everybody. There were some people that were a little funny style, but that's to be expected. But the rabbi was really sweet. And I remember them inviting me to come back for their readings, because what they do like readings out of the Torah. And I didn't go. I never did go back for that. But I remember in the class, as we're learning Hebrew, learning different, pronunciations and things like that, I brought something up that the teacher who was like, I never noticed that. And it was the L, right? How there's the L in the prophets and many of the prophets' name, how, you got the Israel, then you got Daniel, Samuel, um, not all of them, because obviously Jeremiah doesn't have an L in, unless wait, is it? It might be in Hebrew. It might be in Hebrew. But I remember just kind of pointing that out, and he was like, I never noticed that. So again, blinders, right? But yeah. So anyway, that was something that I did with Jewish people, and I think I want to say I did ask a rabbi one time. I think we are talking about Noah, the whole Noah situation, where people are saying, "Oh, they covered Noah." I mean, Canaan was cursed because Ham. Some people try to say that Ham actually sexually assaulted Noah. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. I don't. And I remember having this discussion with the rabbi. I called him and asked him, and I want to say, what did he say to me? It was almost like he didn't know. It was almost like, if I recall correctly, he kind of wasn't sure himself. If I recall correctly, but personally, I still don't believe that. I just don't. I believe that it was just the simple fact that Ham was, his father was drunk, and instead of being respectful and covering his father, giving him some honor, giving him some respect, he clowned around and didn't cover him. He didn't cover him. But yeah, that's now I'm getting off track. So let's get back to what I was talking about. Okay, so genealogy. So I met this guy from Israel. This was a few years ago, and I noticed his star. So we struck up a conversation. We started talking, and he had the accent. He was like direct, straight from Israel. And I asked him what tribe he was from, and he said he was from Naphtali. You can pronounce it Naphtali or Naphtali. I say Naphtali, and I believe that's how he said it too. And I found that so interesting because you never really hear about you don't hear about like Naphtali that often. You don't hear about Asher that often, or Gad, but Judah obviously takes the center stage because Yeshua is from the line of Judah, and then David, and all of our great ones. But you don't hear so much about Reuben and the other ones. So to hear him say Naphtali, that was really interesting to me. And we started talking, and we were talking about Israel, and we were talking about Jewish customs, and me being a Christian, and all of these things. He's very nice also. And I'm going to be very honest with you. He looked like me. He looks like me. Now, I'm not saying that. See, Jews look in all, Jews come from every nation, and that's what people have to understand. Now, this man came from the tribes. He came directly from the blood, but Jews do come from every nation. So you're going to see Jews of all hues. You're going to see them of Jews of all hues. There are Asian Jews. There are black Jews. There are, obviously, we know there are white Jews. There are Indian Jews that come from India. There are all kinds. Their Jews are come from every nation. And even if you read in Acts, right, it says Jews from every nation came together. It literally says that. Jews from all over the world came together, and they were speaking different languages. And that's why they were amazed at the apostles speaking their language, knowing that they weren't from their countries. Okay? So they come from all over. But when we're speaking bloodline, that's different, yes. But how do we know who's who? I think we don't, but they do still exist. They do exist. And let me tell you how we know that. Because in Revelation, it speaks of the 144,000 coming straight out the bloodline, 12,000 from each tribe except for Dan, 12,000 virgin male Jews coming from the bloodlines. Okay, so we know they're here. They are here. But anyway, this guy from Naphtali, he was like my complexion, like a caramel complexion. He had curly, kinky hair like me. So like it was like I could see a resemblance, you know. But again, that is not to say that somebody with blonde hair and blue eyes is not from the line. I can't say that. I don't think any of us can say that, like as you know So matter of factly, yeah, a lot of them got like that kinky nappy hair, right? Yes, we do see that, but I don't. We can't say that so matter of factly because Jews did intermarry of the Bible. They intermarried. They weren't supposed to, but they did it. They intermarried, and then some. It was permissible. Like Joseph, he married an Egyptian woman. Okay, Moses, he married a Cushite woman. Okay, and it's not that it was necessarily that they looked so different because I don't think they did, but I think it was more so just they were different nations, and that's why Miriam got so upset, right? People say Miriam got upset because Joseph's Cushite wife was an Ethiopian. And that's another thing. It doesn't say she was Ethiopian. She could have been Kenyan for all we know. She was Cushite, but they said that a lot of people just interject their own thoughts that, oh, she didn't like her because she was a black woman. That's not what it's conveying. She didn't like her because she was not Israel. That's why. Because she was not of the tribes. She didn't like her because she was outside of their nation. It has nothing to do with how she looked, her outer appearance. It has nothing to do with that. So that's just a misinterpretation of that particular situation with Miriam. And I love learning about Miriam. And I say that biasly because I did get a prophetic word before and he said I was like a Miriam. Okay? I admit it. But so I was like, oh, and I do play the tambourine. But no, I really love Miriam. I love learning about. Now she had too much mouth, obviously, and she got in trouble. But I've been in trouble too. I've been reprimanded. so but yeah, so anyway, that's the genealogy as far as Jews are concerned. As Christians, let's not do this. I know we got the Hebrew Israelites and okay, like I said, I've done a video on them already, and I'm not going to take too much time even speaking about them. They need God. Okay, they need a true encounter, and some of them get one and they come out of it, but they need a true encounter with the true and living God because one, they are filled with so much bitterness. That's number two. They're very racist, and um, it's not a good look at all. It really isn't. Like, how do you guys? And then some of them want to move out to Israel. They ain't gonna want you there. Why would they want you there when you talk that way about them? Why would they want you there when you talk that way about them, right? Um, just yeah, pray for them. That's all I can say. I would say pray for them because there's a bitter root there. There's a bitter root there, and um, there's a big like just a grudge there, and it has to be removed. It has to come out. And like I've told many of them too, if you're that convinced, you're of the tribes, take a DNA. It's that simple. Why not? Why not take a DNA? See what haplogroup you're coming from. They won't do that though. Okay, so that's that on it on the genealogy. Let's see. We talked about the prophecies that are fulfilling. They're fulfilling rapidly right now. Fulfilling rapidly right now. But also, I want to say, even though we're seeing that America has entered into this war, and I'm seeing that prophetic dream God gave me on Israel. This was May 19th, and I posted it on YouTube. They removed it. I still have it, but um, the dream where I was walking on a U.S. Military site. I was walking on a U.S. military site, and there was a U.S. commanding officer, and he was saying, "Get to safety, get to safety," and people were running, looking for safety. And then at the very end of the dream was this warcraft with the word Israel on it. So I knew right then and there. So when I woke up, I wrote down the dream. I said, okay. And I knew the interpretation was, okay, that there's going to be a war. This is May 19th, okay? There's going to be a war with Israel. But I wasn't sure how to put it together because God didn't give it to me that with exacts. I just had symbols. But I was like, okay, um, I know America's not going to hit Israel. But at first I kind of thought, is that what? Come on, no, that just does not sound realistic. And then, but I knew America was also involved. So now we see, now it all comes together. Okay, here's the war with Israel. It's taking place now. They've hit Iran. Now, the U.S. has now entered and has hit. I think it's Tehran. So These things are coming to pass now. A couple of my other videos that I've made also because of God, just a few weeks ago, showing me Russia on U.S. soil. Right now, they did not overcome. They didn't overcome. In fact, they were gone real quickly. China. Now, as far as China is concerned, I had the Russia China dream years ago. Years ago. And I know we hear it a lot now, but I had that dream way before hearing it right now, way before. And Russia and China definitely hit the US. So when that's going to all happen, I can't say. I don't know. But one thing I will always reflect back on, and God, I know this is what God wants his people to understand and to know. Always pray. Okay, we're always pray, of course. We take warning dreams seriously, but always pray. But one thing I will not forget is that God showed me America. Okay, it was two eagles in the sky. One eagle was smaller than the other. One, they were both great. They were both gigantic, big and powerful. But one was way bigger and way more powerful. Okay, and the one that was bigger and more powerful, he somewhat was like behind the smaller one. But what he did was he put a white covering over that smaller one. And then after he did that, all that you could see below these American people, and the reason I knew they were American people because they had red, white, and blue on. And in your dreams, you instinctively know what certain things are when it's coming from God, when it's a prophetic dream. And the people began to shout and scream, and they were just so excited, yeah, like joyous, right? So I knew then, okay, there's going to be a victory. God is covering America. That big eagle represented God, and that smaller eagle represented America. Now this is all coming together. Now it's all coming together. And I had that dream. Oh, it's been over a year now. It's been over a year now. And yes, I'm going to speak these dreams because that's what the Bible tells us to do. I've sat on stuff before. I can't do that anymore. God has given me information on things, and I will just pray about it or I just sit on it. Sometimes not bold enough to say anything. Those days are done. Those days are over. And whosoever will hear it will hear it. You know, God will touch and reach who He wants to. He knows what He's doing with me, and He knows what He's doing with you, and He knows what He's doing on this earth. And we just have to trust Him and believe Him. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I'm not saying that America is not worthy of judgment. I think a lot of people take it that, people want to see America judged so badly, and it's not that America's not worthy of judgment, but she'll be judged when God says it's time. That's just the bottom line. She'll be judged when God says it's time. And for now, I know a lot's going on. A lot is going on. So, but God doesn't want His people afraid. We have a peace that surpasses all understanding, but just pray. Pray. Okay, so let me see, what else can I talk about? I think I've hit everything. Um, as far as Israel is concerned, don't be bitter towards Israel. Um, you have to pray because that's what the instructions Yeshua gave us. He said, pray for Jerusalem, pray for them, pray for them. And again, you have to remember, the minute they try to take Israel out, Israel is forever. Israel's going nowhere. Oh, that's what I want to talk about. For Christians who say, they don't believe the modern day Israel is Israel, so on and so forth, and they kind of dismiss Israel. Even even the very end, right? Go to the back of Revelation. go straight to the back of Revelation. Don't you even know when there's a new heaven and a new earth and it comes together, it's called the New Jerusalem? Don't you know there's 12 gates, 12 tribes, 12 gates? Don't you know it's a replica of Israel? Israel is forever. It's not going nowhere. It's not going nowhere. Why? Because of His covenant with Abraham. It's not that the people are so great and so good and so, no, that's not what it is. It's His covenant with Abraham. That's the kind of God that we have. He makes a promise, He don't break it. And I think that's awesome. I think that's dopeness, really. So, and excuse the word dope. I know some people that might be offensive to you. It's just a slang word, okay? It's just a slang word that means cool. But yeah, like, don't you understand? 12 gates, 12 tribes. the replica, the New Jerusalem. The first of all, the name is Jerusalem. It's New Jerusalem, but the name is still Jerusalem. Y'all, I love it out here. I have not been. This is so serene. I'm the only person out here. This is so serene. And then look at these beautiful houses right here too. Let me show y'all. And I'm sorry to interrupt what I'm saying, but I'm just like, Lord, I like it out here. Oh yes, yes. Father, I'm gonna need something like that on the hill in front of the apple orchard. But no, glory to your name, Father. You're so good. What was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, the New Jerusalem. Okay, the New Jerusalem, the 12 gates. There's something else that represents the 12 disciples. Um, yeah, Israel's forever. Israel's forever. God has, look, he said, look, I have inscribed you on the palm of my hand. It, Israel's his firstborn. Israel is his firstborn. Now think of how you feel about your firstborn. You love your firstborn. Your firstborn, can't nobody replace your firstborn. I know can't nobody replace mine. So, you know, in spite of all of the sin and the the thing. I mean, they've been through a lot of punishment. They've been exiled plenty of times. Um, they've lost wars that they should have won because, and this I'm talking speaking biblically, because God allowed it. You know, they had prophets that came to them. They stoned and killed. They didn't want to, they didn't want to hear what the prophets were saying, and so they have definitely had a lot of repercussions. But God still, He won't forsake them. And I think a lot of people want them to be forsaken. It's not going to happen. It isn't going to happen. Um, what was I going to say? Now the other thing, there's that other extreme. We don't idolize Jewish people. Why would you do that? Well, that's just ignorant. Okay? We have a God. Yes, He is the God of Israel, indeed. But we have a God that we worship. We don't worship Jews. Stop that. Stop. That's nonsense. Love them like you love everybody else, and love the Palestinians too. That's another thing. Don't get y'all be saying some people be saying some ignorant stuff, some real ignorant stuff. Don't you know we have brothers and sisters who are Palestinians? Don't do that. Don't do that. Love them too. Um, yeah. So I feel like there's something else I wanted to say. I just wanted to make something else. There was another point I wanted to make, but I can't think of it right now. It's evading me. It's evading me. But yeah, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. A lot is prophesied. And there's a young man that I follow on YouTube. He's Jewish, and I follow him because I like to see where his mind's at. It's very telling, and I can see that he has a pure heart, right? But it's very telling. He's like, the Messiah's coming. The Messiah's coming. Y'all, that shows us where we're at on the timeline when they start thinking that. That shows us where we're at on the timeline. When the Jews are saying the Messiah is coming, that shows us where we're at on the timeline. That means that they truly believe that Antichrist that's going to pop up is going to be their Messiah. Now, I used to question, well, how are they going to be, fooled like that? And how is he going to have access to the temple and, things of that nature, which the temple is underway, I believe. It's not here yet, but I know they're trying to get that together. They're looking also for a red heifer for the, I want to say, is it for a sacrifice? But, yeah, so I like to watch his channel. I like to see him get so excited, because I know where we're at. I know where we're at biblically on the timeline when you're looking at their attitude and what they're expecting to happen. And like I said, I feel like he has a pure heart. That's what I'm talking about. There are some that have a pure heart, that are true Jews. And then there are some, like I said, the atheists and the ones out there, dancing in front of a Buddha and having LGBT celebrations. I don't think that those are true Jews. I don't. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't come together. Because if you know what the Bible, what the Torah teaches, even if you reject Yeshua, and most of them do, you're still going to hold to the tenets of the Torah, because it's very important to Jews, right? The law of Moses, right? So That's what I think the Bible's talking about when it says not all of them are. That's my personal feeling. But this young man, he's so like, oh, his heart's so in it. And he's like saying how the Iran war, this is prophesied. I think he said it's prophesied in Ezekiel. And it's just, it's really amazing to watch. It's amazing to watch. Now, do I think the Lord is coming back? In my lifetime? It's possible. Just depending on how long I live. Do I think that he's coming back like tomorrow? In a few days, few weeks? No. There's still so much we haven't seen. So no, I don't. I also want to say, even though the Lord has been saying I'm coming back soon, we have to remember our timeline is his timeline, and his timeline is different. It's way different. Now, I do believe when that day finally happens, we're gonna see it as soon. Like, we're gonna see it as, oh, that was quick, because we're gonna be in that eternal realm. Right now, we're in a created realm. Okay, so in the created realm, it seems like things take a long time. So, what is fast in the eternal realm is not fast in the natural realm. It's not fast in the natural realm. And I can speak on the eternal realm, and I'll speak on that probably another video. I'm going to start sharing some of my dreams that God has given me, and visions. And it's not, I'm not trying to say like I'm this person where, oh, I just have them every single day or something like that. Because I know a lot of people start getting like a little bit questionable. Like, how, we hear people be like every single minute of the day, they're having visions and dreams. And I'm not saying that's me. I do dream a lot though, but direct communication, no, that's not every day. It's definitely not every day. And I've only had 2 visions in my life. So I haven't had a lot of visions either. But when you have them, well, you will never forget. You will never forget. And I will, I'll share some things. I've had some wonderful, beautiful things. And I'm going to tell you, I believe, that the more you're innocent to those, innocent in the sense that you just believe him. You just believe him. You trust him, and you just believe him, and it's possible. You're just more open to it. And obviously, I've been open to it since I was a little girl, so that probably has something to do with it too. But a lot of people close that part of themselves off. They treat it like fantasy. It's not. It's not fantasy for God to speak